Welcome back to Paranormal Papa Podcast, episode 40, when true crime and the paranormal meet, coming to you from Ferocious Feline Studios in Cassopolis, Michigan. Hey guys and gals, welcome back to Ferocious Feline Studios and the Paranormal Papa Podcast, episode 40. Man, it's been almost a year that we've been doing this. Wow, doesn't seem believable. But I'd like to thank each and every one of you for that support, the moral, the financial, the help in keeping us growing. Since I decided to start as just a strictly paranormal channel, it's been a journey. It has been a heck of a journey. And, you know, I still get a lot of questions about the morality of being an ordained minister and doing paranormal research and investigation, and whether people want to admit it or not, they are joined together. But one thing that really, what's the word? One thing about dealing with the paranormal is whether it's ever going to be completely and truly recognized by the legal system, the scientific community, the public in general. You know, we're all familiar with this famous scene from Ghostbusters 2 when the boys cause the blackout in New York and they meet the judge that's going to be trying them.
Law does not recognize the existence of ghosts. I don't believe in them either. So I don't want to hear a lot of malarkey about goblins, spooks, and demons. We're going to stick to the facts in this case. Leave the ghost stories to the kiddies, understood?
You know, in that scene, they make it sound as though the courts do not recognize, you know, ghosts, goblins, demons, spooks, specters, anything about the paranormal. But what if I told you that there have been multiple cases where the courts have taken the paranormal into consideration, and if not the judge himself, the jurors. In this case right here, you see where jurors actually consulted a Ouija board. 4 jurors were out of the group of 12 were sequestered in the hotel together during the trial, and 4 of those 12 got together and consulted a Ouija board to find the guilt or innocence of the person on trial. When asked who committed the crime, the Ouija board, loose term, of course, you know, they created it out of out of a glass, water glass, and slips of paper with yes, no, and all the letters of the alphabet. And each of them put a finger on the glass and ask questions, and the glass would move to spell out the person on trial's name. But that's not the only time that something like this has happened. Today we're going to listen to two cases, one of which I've actually done some research into, and it's documented in the court records to be accurate and true. And that's the Greenbrier ghost. Check out these two cases that are discussed. We'll talk at the end.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, Jolene and I are going to talk about cases where paranormal and true crime kind of meet. I'm going to talk about the Greenbrier ghost. Jolene, what are you doing?
Oh, the paranormal couple, Mark and Debbie I don't know how you pronounce her last name, though. Constantino?
Both of these cases kind of interweave both of our interest in true crime and the paranormal. The Greenbrier ghost is a woman named Elva Zona Heister Shue. She was from Leesburg, West Virginia. And she was only married to her husband for just a few months. And this was like back in 1897. One morning, the little neighbor boy that helped her do chores around the house came over and found her dead at the bottom of her stairs. Well, the little boy ran and got her husband. He came and, distraught husband holding her head and crying, all distraught. He somehow is allowed to assist with the autopsy, but he never leaves her head. And in her casket, he arranges things around her head and her neck, like he's covering something up. But he has an excuse why he's doing it. Oh, this makes her look more comfortable. This makes her look more natural. This was her favorite scarf, so on and so forth. They bury her, have a funeral and bury her. And a few days later, her mother starts getting these visions of her, telling her, that's not how I died. My husband killed me, in full description detail of what he did. She said he strangled her and broke her neck. Well, her mother, started telling people, hey, these visions won't stop. She won't stop coming to me. Can we exhume the body? So they exhume her body, do another autopsy, and her neck was broken, and her esophagus was pretty much crushed, like somebody strangled her. So they try her husband. He's found guilty, but the official documents isn't that he's convicted based on ghost testimony. It's a series of circumstantial evidence. But technically, if it wasn't for those visions, her mother would have never asked for an exhumation, and then nobody would have found out what really happened.
Wow. Is that a true story?
Yep. It happened in West Virginia, in Lewisburg, West Virginia, in 1897.
Dang. It's a good thing they listened to her.
I wonder if she would have been listened to now.
I don't know.
If you ran into a prosecuting attorney's office And it was like, I keep having visions of my dead daughter that's telling me she died this way. They're going to check you into a mental facility.
Yeah, that's true. They would be like, what? Are you okay?
She would, I mean, let's face it. I mean,
over too well.
I realize the show Medium is loosely based on a real story of a real medium that worked with the prosecutor's office, but
That's a damn good show, too.
I still like that show. But still, it wasn't, they weren't walking around telling people that she was a psychic and that's what she was doing. They gave her like another title to kind of like cover it up a little bit.
Right.
That's why I was so interested in the exorcism stuff. Go listen to that episode if you haven't listened to it. Is I know the church makes you go through like a gauntlet of mental health test and physical test to make sure it's nothing, not anything physical or like a mental illness or anything like that. So, but yet our legal system doesn't really, they're like, nope, you're crazy. No matter what, you're crazy. And there's been other cases like the Conjuring 3 is based off of a real case. The Devil Made Me Do It.
I haven't seen that.
That one is about this like college age kid. His little brother was possessed by like 60 demons. And Ed and Lorraine Warren were assisting with the little boy's exorcism. And the older brother told the demons to take him instead of his little brother. So, in the movie and in like every story you read on it, that's exactly what happened. He went home, I think it was within a few days, if not the same day, and killed his landlord. And then was put in the hospital. And, like, there was, in the movie, there's like weird stuff that goes on in the hospital and stuff like that where it's not very realistic, but I would assume there's some grain of truth in that. Like, there was people in the hospital that were having experiences around him because, Hollywood is going to blow up and make it look bigger than what it was. But that's exactly what his defense was, is he was possessed. And the Warrens kind of went back and forth on it, but it actually went to court where that was his defense, is the devil made me do it.
Wow.
So where would possession fall? Would that be not guilty based on mental capacity or defect, which is the crazy defense pretty much? Or...
Is that movie out now?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's a good movie. I mean, you can kind of... If you're
I
like
love the
us...
Conjuring movies. I haven't seen that one.
Well, if you're like us and have been reading, like... You and I started reading Ed and Lorraine Warren stuff like a long time ago when the internet was like brand new. Like their case files and stuff like that. If you're familiar with it, which I know you are, then you can kind of get a grasp of what really happened by the movie. It's over exaggerated for sure.
Right. They over exaggerate everything. Everything.
No. And the Amityville haunting started with the DeFeo murders. And for a long time, he maintained that he was possessed when he killed his family. And there's an argument about that it makes sense if he didn't act alone, because that many gunshots going off in a house is bound to wake somebody up. And they were all shot in their bed. Only one of them was like they tried to get up. And he maintained that all the way up until like his last parole hearing, and then he switched his story up and said he was lying.
I didn't realize that that was actually brought into court.
Mm-hmm. What's crazy is, the thing I've always found to be crazy about that story is the same, what DeFeo tells or describes as what he's seen as like the demon or whatever entity was trying to possess him is the same description that the family gives in their book. So maybe he was possessed and killed his family.
Oh, I don't think that that's like far-fetched, because that's actually what I think might have been involved with the Mark and Debbie Constantino.
Oh, what happened there?
Paranormal investigators. But they're probably most known for being on the Ghost Adventures. They were on like a couple episodes, I think. And he murdered his I guess she was estranged wife. They used to be married. And then killed himself. And the reason why I think possession could be involved is because when they're out ghost hunting and stuff, the shit that they caught, or that she caught on her the voice recorder, did not sound okay. Like every time she freaking played, like caught an EVP, it was very, very, very creepy sounding. Like it all just sounded evil to me. And then I guess they've had a toxic relationship or whatever. That's what I was trying to look through this article to see. Because I don't want to get any of that information incorrect. It said that they had a history of domestic violence between them, but they also have always like been investigating and going to haunted places.
Well, you know that that pagan belief that like is going to attract like. So if you're a negative person, you're going to attract negative entities. And if you're both negative people, then you're just opening a big door saying, come get me.
Which is kind of basically what the couple articles that I've seen about it is saying they kind of both were negative. Like there was supposedly domestic violence. Like they both accused each other of it. But it also says that Mark was charged with kidnapping, domestic battery. Okay, this says they were billed as experts in EVPs. I didn't know that. They appeared on several of the episodes from 2008 and 2011. But the things that she always caught, when I seen them though, they weren't on Ghost Adventures. It was on like a YouTuber's channel. I want to say the live sci-fi channel. That I seen them most on there. I wonder if I could find a clip that would be usable. Her EVPs that they caught, well, I guess maybe they both caught them, I'm not sure, but they did not sound good. And the energy between Mark and Debbie, when I watched them, looked, like it just fell off through the screen. I mean, it just fell off.
I hope they weren't the type that was like bickering while they're on the job. Especially, so did he get possessed or did she?
I don't know. I always thought him until I was seeing more things where they said it was kind of both of them. Because they were saying she was abusive too, so maybe it's one of those situations where they were just both toxic, and maybe they were probably, maybe both of them.
And there's that theory that it could just be one entity, but it's manipulating both of them.
Yeah, or that. Oh, it was so long ago that I seen that, like, heard the actual EVP though. I wish I could remember what they were actually saying though, because it was fucking creepy. Usually EVPs don't bother me that much, because for one, you can't really understand what they're saying, any of that stuff. This shit was very creepy.
I don't know, we've caught some ones that were pretty clear. Just all of a sudden a voice there where there wasn't when it was just me, you, and Sarah. And
Yeah. Like, wait, hello, who are you?
yes, ma'am. And they would, answering questions and stuff. And I remember we've gotten some pretty clear. I mean, they weren't creepy. They didn't sound like, I'm going to eat your face, but it was very clearly a voice and distinctive what it said. What the one Mary one that we got that one time we were in the cemetery off Deering Road. Sarah was standing in front of a grave and she's just holding it and she said, "What's your name?" And then her and I start talking. And when we listened to it back in between us talking, it was a very distinct Mary. And she took a picture of the grave we were standing in front of. And it said Mary, and then I don't remember the last name. But I remember back at her house when we were reviewing it, like that made every hair in my arm stand up. Like, no, we're not going back there now. Mary's too talkative. Well, we've caught some pretty crazy EVPs. I wish that everything back then wasn't like on an actual tape. Like it wasn't like it is today where your cell phone is everything.
I know, it was so, like, complicated just to get any type of...
And we didn't have like...
That's why we never tried. We were like, I'm out with it.
Well, we never had video because, like I said, our phone capabilities were barely able to send a text message from the cell phones that we had back then. So, and the cameras were like super shitty.
Right. Of course, nowadays, though, the shit that they still... I know it's not from the good phones, but the fucking photos that people release are still that quality. So it's like impossible to see anything.
Some of that I understand and some of that I don't. Like, there was one I seen, it was very clear, and I shared it on the Facebook page. It was very clear if you knew what you were looking at. Like, it took me a few times watching it before I caught it. But it was obviously like a residual energy, but you seen a very human-like dark shadow walk through the trees and then bend over. And it was like clear as day. I mean, there wasn't a person there, but there was like a black shadow walking through there. If that was Photoshop, that dude like needs a job doing that shit. It was that clear. I mean, you couldn't see features because, of course, there was none, but It was very clear it was there. And when it bends over, it just disappears. Like, never was there.
That would be like...
Anyway, you still haven't told us who died, what happened. Just that you think whatever, they were possessed.
Oh, sorry. Mark, I don't know if this is alleged or not. I want to say that they know because they're both gone. But he shot her and murdered her, and then he
opted out.
Yeah. A standoff. That's what I'm looking for with the police and stuff.
So he was a death by cop.
What do you mean?
Death by cop is when they purposely antagonize the police so the police have to shoot them.
Oh, no, I think he did it himself because they heard it inside before they were able to get in.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like...
There's not, like, really a whole lot of information, though, other than they've, they've gone through things. And that Mark was charged with kidnapping and domestic battery. Her daughter was, their daughter was also charged with some stuff too. So could have, been the influence though if they've been always doing this stuff. That could have totally influenced all of their life.
Yeah, that's not out of the realm of possibility.
Where it could have included them and then well, I don't know if it's their daughter together, but her daughter. Oh, she was missing, and they found her by pinging her cell phone. And they found her in one of the apartments. And when the officers responded, someone began shooting at them through the door. And that's when they discovered that she was inside being Oh, he held her hostage. Okay. He fired the shots. So he was shooting at the police too, though.
I guess that's a pretty good cautionary tale for paranormal investigators. To keep your shit positive.
Right. And it could be a coincidence, but to me, that was my first thought because of their line of work. Because you do have to be careful with that.
I wonder how long in between their last paranormal investigation and that happening.
That's a good question. I don't think it was in one of that, because they were at the Washoe Club. Is that what it's called? That one stands out to me. I just don't remember what fucking thing I watched it on. I watched so much stuff like that.
It all does seem kind of blended together after a while.
But yeah, not a lot there, but I just thought, I think they could have picked up something, for sure. Hearing those EVPs, I for sure think that they could have picked up something.
Well, if you're abusive, negative people, and you're going where where it's assumed is a paranormal hotspot, it's not. I mean, anybody who's researched anything in paranormal or has any type of spiritual belief in that knows that you don't go into that with a shitty attitude, because that's what you're going to find.
Yeah, you really shouldn't. Because it's all about the energy. So if you come in with the energy.
That was something that, looking back on when we lived on Washington Street, and I don't know if it was what exactly was going on there, but I don't remember a lot of explosive fights in that house. Like most people, if they had that type of energy, they weren't comfortable in that house. Those people never hung out long. If you go by the like attracts like, then maybe it was, they were feeling it a little bit heavier. Because when we lived there, everything was always pretty much lighthearted and always trying to have fun. The boys were little.
Even if the negative tried to seep in, you tried to kick it out the fucking door.
Right.
Literally.
Right. Everything, I mean, not that it was always a party, but everything was pretty lighthearted there. There wasn't a lot of fights, and there was always positive energy people around. Maybe that's what kept the boogeyman in the basement. We were just having too good a time upstairs. And the only time that there was a explosive thing that happened, it was done and over with in a matter of seconds. That I don't want to say his name, but the person that when I was growing up that was always a dickhead, you know who that is, came busting through the front door, and King, my dog, just grabbed him and held him to the floor by his arm, and the cops came in, picked him up, and that was that. Then we just went on with whatever the fuck we were doing. But there wasn't that was the only time in that house that anything like that happened. There wasn't a lot of fighting or arguing or any of that.
Yeah, not that I remember.
It was mainly, if raised voices, it was telling the boys to go take a bath or something like that, or do their homework or their chores. It wasn't.
Yeah, little mouthy teenagers or little ones was always what was involved with
that. Not anything at each other's throats or anything like that. Yeah, looking back at that, and I always found that interesting. It really wasn't just our energy. It couldn't influence too much. And the one person I think it did influence was kind of a negative person at that time.
Yeah, definitely the negative, does feed on negative. That's why they're always trying to get you scared, and so they can feed off of that.
I think that was the maybe another thing is I don't ever remember being scared. There was a couple times where I did get scared. I'm not gonna lie, but as a majority of it, like whatever was happening upstairs, it wasn't scary. It was kind of like we just looked at each other and was like, "You seen that? Yeah, all right, that's what I thought." And we just go back to whatever we were doing.
Bitch, did you hear that? Yeah? Okay. Make sure I ain't tripping tonight.
Quit pulling the blankets. That's not me.
Well, I mean, I would get scared sometimes, but it was just like mainly just on the stairs. Well, no, that's a lie though, because in your room, I didn't like that hallway. That tiny little, if you could call it a hallway, I didn't like it.
Yeah. There was a time I got, I went down to do laundry in the basement, and by this time, nobody was living down there anymore. We were getting ready to move, and I went down there to throw in a load of laundry, and I heard that it sounded like somebody ran up behind me and like said my name right in my ear. So I was like, la 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 la, finished what I had to do, and like quickly was trying to get up the stairs, and the basement door slammed shut. Now, the weird thing is this was 2001, so technology was not where it was at today. Like, there was no such thing as a wireless speaker back then. There wasn't even no such thing as like an MP3 player. We were still listening to CDs in 2001. But before I went downstairs to do laundry, we had always had a big stereo in the living room. So I was playing music really loud. The song I was listening to was Coma by Guns N' Roses. That has a very, very dark like bass line that goes through it. Just one part of that song was looping on every electronic device in that house. The alarm clock, everything. The TV was playing it. There's no way there wasn't technology invented at this time that could do that. But what freaked me out the most is the house was so old, the basement door had settled and like shrank to where it never touched the actual strike plate, so the door could never shut. We had an eyelet hook up there to shut the door to keep the dog from going down there. Or like people accidentally falling down it. Remember, I was home by myself, so nobody else was there. Now, when I went down there, obviously I didn't lock the eyelet hook behind me. That would be impossible. But that door didn't shut, and I could not for the life of me pull it open. My mom ended up coming in the back door, and like all the music stopped at once, and it took her a couple tries pulling the door for her to actually get it to open.
Yeah, I would be like, no thanks, bye.
That's when that was the one time I was truly fucking terrified. Like, when I came out of that basement, I looked like I seen a ghost. I was white, shaking, I couldn't get control of myself for a minute. That fucked me up, because I knew what was going on wasn't possible, but yet it was happening. And it was when we were in the process of leaving the house. Like, I was doing up the laundry, so, we wouldn't have to worry about it when we were moving things. And you guys will probably hear a lot about that house, because I lived there a long time, and a lot of weird stuff happened.
And there's many things that happen there.
That was the only time I was glad we were leaving the house. It was we didn't want to leave that house. We loved that house. It fit our family perfectly. But we were all kind of sad when we had to leave it, but that was the only time I remember being glad that we were leaving that house. And something for sure did not like that we were leaving.
Until next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back. I say so many times that the evidence that is collected about the paranormal is not a few and far between thing. There's a lot of evidence collected, but sometimes the scientific community can be just a little stubborn about what they want to believe and what they don't want to believe. There have been EVPs, there have been camera footage, there has been actual objects being moved and thrown. There have been dreams. There has been remote viewing, which is recognized in the scientific community, except when it pertains to the paranormal. Why is the scientific community the field of law? Groups like that so resistant to believe that death is not the end. I've always been curious, with all the evidence that's provided by the thousands of paranormal groups around the world, that nobody wants to just say, hey, this is a possibility. Will it ever happen? God only knows. But I know how I feel. And if I could only speak for 10% of the paranormal community and the paranormal investigators out there, one day, But that's all we've got for you this week. Episode 40. Doesn't seem possible. Doesn't seem possible. Again, if you would like to support Paranormal Papa Podcast, Paranormal Papa Investigations, it stays within the channel. It stays within the team. It keeps our equipment updated. It keeps our studio equipment updated. It gets us to new locations. You know we're not monetized. We don't have any sponsorship. So anything and everything that can be done to help is so beyond appreciated. It's amazing. Of course, if you want to support the group, you can do so right here at www.paypal.me/MrHistory2020. Of course, it's double encrypted, so any support you give is double protected. Of course, we're also doing, we're taking advantage, we're getting into our own ministry. I am an ordained minister, and I want to be that unique minister that performs the unique ceremonies. Themed weddings, historic weddings, paranormal weddings, LGBTQ plus weddings. If you're planning to get married and you need a unique minister to officiate your unique ceremony. Get a hold of us at Midwest Parahistoric Society at gmail.com and give us the details. We'll be more than happy to go over options and go out of our way to make sure that your unique day is everything that you and your partner dreamt it can be. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. God bless you, God love you, we do. And happy hunting.